My ex accused me of being the father of her baby to trap me into paying child support, but DNA results proved her wrong and her plan backfired. I, 30M, used to date someone who, at first, seemed like a genuine match. Charming, fun, and supportive, until the cracks showed. We broke up 6 months ago, due to endless drama and her erratic demands. I never suspected she would stoop so low as to claim I fathered her child just to squeeze out child support. One day, out of the blue, she messaged me, "We need to talk. It's important." I ignored her for a while, not wanting more chaos, but she persisted, leaving voicemails about life-changing news. Finally, my curiosity got the better of me. We met in a local coffee shop. She arrived with a dramatic flourish, heaving a sigh. "I'm pregnant," she said, voice quivering. I froze, trying to recall if we'd still been intimate close enough to that timeline. But our breakup was months ago. My skepticism rose. She cut right to the chase. "It's yours, obviously, and I need your financial support." My mind spun. "Look," I said carefully, "we broke up half a year ago. Are you sure?" Her eyes flashed with annoyance. "Don't insult me by doubting. You have a duty to help, morally and legally." Her brazen assumption that I'd simply cave set alarm bells ringing. Over the next few days, she inundated me with texts about medical expenses, baby gear, all demanding I pay. She even threatened legal action if I didn't comply immediately. That's when I realized she wasn't just uncertain about paternity, she was weaponizing it. I tried calmly replying that a paternity test would clarify everything. She huffed, accusing me of insulting her honor. But I was firm. No test, no money. A week later, I got a formal letter from a lawyer she'd hired, referencing child support laws. It threatened that if I didn't voluntarily start payments, she'd file in court. Furious, I called a friend who worked in family law. He assured me that legally, I had every right to demand a DNA test before paying a dime. "She can't force you to pay without proof," he said. As the pressure mounted, my ex's messages turned vicious. She claimed I was a deadbeat father, telling mutual acquaintances that I was abandoning my unborn child. Rumors spread quickly. Some folks believed her sob story. Others privately asked me if it was really my baby. I insisted I needed a test. The drama soared, with her posting cryptic social media updates about men who run from responsibilities. Meanwhile, she conjured up a plan to present me as a monster in front of a judge. I tried ignoring the noise, focusing on gathering evidence that her timeline didn't match. We'd been broken up long enough that the math felt off. Still, I prepared for the worst. My friend, the family law contact, lined up the steps for responding if she officially pressed charges. And sure enough, not long after, I received a court summons for a paternity and child support hearing. My ex was going all in, expecting me to fold under pressure. But I'd defend myself and finally reveal the truth. The court date arrived faster than I expected. I stood in that dull corridor outside the courtroom, heart thudding. My ex was there with her lawyer, wearing a smug expression, probably convinced I'd cower. But I had my attorney beside me, a calm professional who'd guided me through each step. The tension crackled in the air. Inside, the judge looked over the documents. My ex's lawyer gave a dramatic speech about how she was pregnant, how I'd abandoned her. They hammered on about my duty to support her and the unborn child. My ex put on a tearful performance, claiming I'd blocked her calls, that she was forced to seek legal recourse. The entire narrative painted me as a heartless father, refusing to help. But then, my lawyer spoke. He noted the glaring timeline inconsistencies, how we'd been separated for half a year, how she had refused to produce any medical records or paternity test results. He insisted we do a court-ordered DNA test before any discussion of support. The judge, nodding, asked my ex's lawyer why they hadn't already done one. They stumbled for an excuse, claiming she was offended by the suggestion. The judge frowned, unimpressed. Finally, the judge ruled that a paternity test was mandatory before proceeding. My ex's face flushed. She glanced around, maybe hoping the judge would side with her moral arguments. But legally, it was straightforward. No test, no case. The judge scheduled a lab appointment, instructing us to get the results ASAP. My ex shot me a dirty look as we left, clearly not expecting such resistance. A week later, we went to the designated clinic. I submitted my sample, just a quick cheek swab. My ex did the same, grumbling about how humiliating this was. My attorney had told me that if the test came back negative, I'd be in the clear. But deep down, I felt uneasy. What if, by some bizarre chance, I was the father? That slim possibility haunted me, but I forced myself to trust the math, trust my memory that we hadn't been intimate around the time she'd have conceived. Another 2 weeks dragged by. Meanwhile, she continued stoking gossip. She even tried calling my father, tearfully asking him to persuade your son to do the right thing. My father, not one to be conned, told her to wait for the DNA results. She hung up on him. Her sense of entitlement soared daily. She spread rumors that I was stalling, that I'd probably bribed the lab. Ridiculous, but she needed any tactic to keep her facade alive. Finally, the lab results arrived. My lawyer emailed me a scanned copy, accompanied by a single line, "You're not the father." My relief was instant and overwhelming. The test showed 0% probability. My ex had either miscalculated or blatantly tried to pin someone else's child on me. My anger simmered. She'd nearly saddled me with 18 years of forced payments, all for her personal convenience. I was done playing nice. Armed with the negative paternity results, I went back to court for the scheduled follow-up hearing. My ex arrived looking anxious, as if she feared the final hammer. Sure enough, my lawyer presented the official DNA report. The judge barely concealed his irritation at my ex's attempts to manipulate the system. He dismissed her petition for child support with a firm hand. She tried to protest, claiming maybe the test was flawed, but the judge shut that down. "Lab is court-appointed, miss. It's valid. Case closed." Outside the courtroom, she glared at me, tears in her eyes. "You have no idea how stressful this has been," she hissed. My eyebrows shot up. "Stressful for you? You tried to trap me. You lied, cost me money on legal fees, tarnished my reputation." She opened her mouth to retort, but no words came out. Then, in a final burst of entitlement, she spat. "You owe me. I spent so much on baby prep because I believed you were the father." I nearly choked on laughter. "That's not my problem. Maybe figure out who the real father is." She looked ready to cause another scene, but my lawyer and I just walked away. I was free. No child support, no obligations. I'd proven she was lying. Yet I still felt a lingering fury that she'd stooped so low. She'd tried to con me, to exploit the system. I wanted more than just exoneration. I wanted accountability. So I decided on a final measure, a countersuit for legal fees and defamation. After all, she'd publicly spread rumors that I was a deadbeat dad refusing responsibility. I had screenshots of her posts, testimonies from friends she told. My attorney agreed it was plausible. "She won't get jail time, but maybe you can recoup your costs," he said. I filed the complaint. That spurred her into panic. Suddenly, she bombarded me with apology texts, begging me to drop the countersuit. She admitted she was desperate for money, the real father vanished, and she saw me as stable. My anger flared again. How casually she confessed to trying to frame me for her baby's fatherless predicament. But I refused her pleas. "See you in court," I replied. The day of the countersuit hearing, she arrived looking pale. Her new lawyer tried to paint a picture of a confused mother acting under misguided assumptions. But we had the timeline proof. She and I had parted long before conception, plus her social media smear campaign. The judge found in my favor, ruling that she'd pay my legal expenses. She also faced a small penalty for malicious accusations. She slumped as the judge read the verdict. My sense of satisfaction was intense. Finally, real consequences for her lies. In the hallway she approached me, voice shaky. "I have no money to pay you. Please let me pay in installments." I stared at her, recalling all the stress, the threats, the nights I'd lost sleep imagining I'd be forced into fatherhood for a child not mine. I shrugged. "That's between you and the court now. I'm done." She tried to muster pity, but I walked away, ignoring her last attempt at guilt-tripping. Over the next few weeks, she sent flurries of texts, half lamenting her financial ruin, half begging I accept some private settlement. My lawyer advised me to maintain the court's arrangement. Any direct deal might lead to more drama, so I kept to that. She ended up on a tight payment plan for my legal fees, forced to rectify the damage she caused. Meanwhile, her reputation in our social circle took a nosedive. People realized she'd tried to trap me with a false paternity claim. Some mutual friends quietly distanced themselves from her. I felt a grim sense of justice. I resumed my life. Freed from the shadow of her accusations, I could finally relax. Work was less stressful without the threat of garnished wages for a child that wasn't mine. My father, upon hearing the final outcome, patted me on the shoulder and said, "That's one heartbreak that might have saved you decades of trouble." I wholeheartedly agreed. Occasionally, I'd see her around town. She no longer flaunted a baby bump. Apparently, she had the child, but the father was nowhere to be found. She'd glance at me with a mix of shame and resentment, but never approached. Once, she posted a vague social media rant about unfair judgments, but no one sympathized. She'd burned too many bridges. Though a part of me felt pity for the child, a baby born into chaos, I couldn't blame myself. She orchestrated this fiasco, not me. I'd done nothing wrong except refusing to be scammed. The judge's ruling stood, ensuring that I, at least, wouldn't be saddled with undeserved child support. My ex faced the consequence of her manipulations alone. Looking back, I see how easily her scheme could have succeeded if I'd been more naive or if I'd caved to fear. But I stuck to the truth, demanded a test. That single step saved me from a lifelong bind of paying for a child that wasn't mine. The sense of relief is indescribable. In the end, I'm stronger. She's stuck paying off a court-ordered debt to me while also facing the reality of raising that baby without a partner. I guess her plan backfired in the most dramatic way possible. I've learned a valuable lesson on vigilance and never giving in to intimidation. It's not that I celebrate someone else's misfortune, but I'm certainly relieved to be out of her web of lies.